Welcome. My name is Heather Feldman. I'm one of the registered dietitians at Coltman Healthcare, as well as a registered yoga instructor. And today I'll be discussing some of the basics of getting started with a meditation practice. So first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the physical body and posture in meditation. So some of the most common options are either seated in a chair or seated down on the ground. So if you're choosing seated up in a chair, some of the tips that I have here are still making sure that you have a really nice tall spine, so from the base of your hips all the way up through the crown of your head. So if you're finding that in your chair you tend to be a little bit more leaned back, seeing if you're able to come upright, if your body can support you in that way. If not, the lean back posture is okay as well. And then you're going to make sure that your head is sitting right on top of your shoulders rather than leaning forward or back. If you're choosing a seated on the ground option, there's a few more considerations to take just to get a little bit more comfortable. So when I'm thinking about a seated on the ground posture, I'm going to start with the base of that posture first. I really like to use a block or a blanket to just lift and elevate the hips up off the mat. So here I'll show it with a block. You're going to use the fleshy part of the sit bones to be actually on your prop, and then the bony part is going to fall just off the edge. So this creates a little bit of a forward tilt in the pelvis that helps to create a really nice tall spine. You'll notice here if I remove that prop and start to become a little bit fatigued in the seated posture, I can get a little bit of a rounding through the hips, which creates a little bit more of a rounding in the lower spine. And when we're looking for that really nice tall line of energy, it's nicer to have those hips supported. So once you have your base down underneath the hips, my next big considerations are knee or hip pain. So if you have any knee sensation at all, you're always welcome to extend one leg or extend both legs to help support the knees. And then if you find that your knees don't kind of naturally relax down onto the ground, it can be really useful to use some blocks to support you. Otherwise, you're going to find that your hips get really tight when you're seated in this posture for a while. So I can use blocks, or if you have books at home, that can work here as well. Under the knees, you can support them here on a few different heights. So that can be kind of the start of the base. From there, I'm going to be thinking a little bit more about where my hands are going. Two most common choices would be either on the knees, face down or face up, or stacking the palms and placing them in the lap. Same thing with seated in the chair, we're going to be looking for that nice tall spine, so really nice from the base of the hips, crown of the head, head stacked right over top of your shoulders. And then you're kind of ready to get started. So the next question that I commonly have when you're getting started with a meditation practice is, what if my mind and my thoughts just start to wander throughout my practice? Am I doing it right? And really, thoughts are actually what make us human, and they're what make us really amazing as humans. So it's totally fine to have thoughts in your meditation practice. The goal is not to get rid of all of those thoughts. So a nice analogy I like to use for this is that the natural state of our mind is really like a blue sky, and our thoughts are more like clouds in the sky. And what I'm thinking about a meditation practice is that yes, the thoughts might still be there, but we're not trying to attach too closely to the thoughts, just like how a cloud in the sky might just float on by. So we're trying to think that the clouds can float by, but we're not just staring and focusing on just one. And some days we're gonna wake up and there might be lots of thoughts and it would be like a stormy sky. Other days we're gonna wake up and there might just be one or two clouds in the sky. Either one is totally fine in your practice. We're just working to not attach so closely to each and every thought we have. The way that we're able to do that is by focusing on something that's happening in this present moment. Our thoughts tend to focus on things that might either happen in the future or in the past. So using something like our breath, which only exists in the here and the now, can be really helpful to just anchor our practice down. And that's what we'll be doing here today. So finding your practice spot where you're really comfortable, seated in your chair, seated down on your mat, and you'll meet me here. I will talk us through the meditation practice that we'll be going through today, and then we'll get started. So our meditation here today is just using a couple words on the inhale, and then a couple words on the exhale. You'll be breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. So on the inhale, in your mind you'll be saying, I know I'm breathing in. Slight little pause at the top of the breath. Then on the exhale, you'll be saying, I know I'm breathing out. So when you're ready, getting started, closing the eyes, finding that nice comfortable seat, Let's take one nice deep clearing breath together. So a nice deep breath in through the nose. Pause and hold at the top. This time, open mouth, exhale, let it go. And then your own time, your own pace, starting your practice here. Inhale, saying in your mind, I know I'm breathing in. Exhale, I know I'm breathing out. Inhale, I know I'm breathing in. Exhale, I know I'm breathing out. Continuing here with this practice, your time, your pace. If you start to get distracted by other thoughts, just trying to bring it back to that saying. And I'll leave you here for a few moments in silence to enjoy this practice. Slowly releasing the practice. Coming back to your normal breathing rhythm, releasing the saying. Slowly starting to blink the eyes back open. So this practice is really nice to do, of course, in your seated practice, but it's a really great one that you can bring throughout your day as well. So if you have a couple moments while you're waiting for an elevator or while you're waiting for a red light, you can create little mindful moments by just consciously focusing on your breath. Our breath is something that happens all around the clock, 24 hours a day, but we often don't take that time to just really appreciate it and tune into it. So finding those little mindful moments is great. Maybe finding this same practice, that same little quote on the inhale and on the exhale. So thank you so much for joining me on your mats today, and I'll see you again next week.